Most all new people probably abandoned us by now. Hello and welcome, heroes, to the Crit Academy. I am your host, Justin.
I'm I'm your co-host Austin.
And I'm your co-host Ian.
This podcast was designed to provide you, our heroes, with new and reusable material for both players and DMs.
We hope to inspire you with creative content that you can bring with you on your next adventure.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us here today at Academy Studios, where everything is made up and your roles do not matter.
Yep, that's right. Your roles are like a dungeon without any secret passageways.
Whew. So, I think we're going good now. Got everything figured out, I think. And even got Brandon on stream now, so welcome. I'm really excited for today's show. Holy crap, we made it to 200 episodes. Can you believe that? 200. That's 100 times more than Alicia thought I would make it. So yay! Honestly, I didn't even think we would still be around. I thought for sure we would have ran out of player tips, dungeon master tips, and just general ideas pretty quickly.
Right.
But here we are. So to celebrate this day, first of all, I want to say thank you to everyone who is joining us. Our main topic today, you are going to join us, and we are going to build a dungeon together. The hope is that when it's done, I will write it up and compile it into a nice professional-looking format, and I'll give it away free to anybody that wants it. So I'm hoping that we'll take your feedback today and hopefully build a dungeon that will hopefully terrorize our players, or at least, let them have a good night. But before that, we have our Let's Talk About Blank segment. And Brandon has joined us after a long time again, so thank you for joining us.
That way.
Our Let's Talk About Blank segment is raising money for Child's Play. I wanted to do something with it being the holiday and there being a lot of difficult times for people, especially for the hospitals and particularly young kids in the hospital. So what is Child's Play? Since 2003, they've set up and organized Child's Play, a game industry charity dedicated to improving the lives of children with toys and games in their network of over 185 hospitals worldwide. Over the years, you as a community have answered the call and have come together to help raise millions of dollars. Your donations have supported seriously ill children in hospitals by distracting them from their illnesses and help them cope with fear, anxiety, and honestly just boredom. Anybody that stayed in a hospital for any length of time knows that it's a horrible experience, and it's even worse for children. So this company, this Child's Play charity is fantastic. I've even got the website here. You can there's a link in our show notes, or you can just go to childsplaycharity.org and check it out. We're asking the community to help support this charity. They do grants, they do domestic violence shelters, partnering with hospitals, everything they can do to help children in this even worse now time of hospitals that are just overpopulated. So I really wanted to bring some attention to that. In addition to that, we're going to do a special giveaway. I had a friend of mine who does custom blankets that she builds for her small business. And we got this really nice one here. I'll put some more thorough pictures online in the show notes later. But I wanted to show this to everyone because what we're going to do is if you make a donation, you can send a email to Crit Academy. In the message you sent, Child's Play, proof of your donation. And we will be shipping this to one random donator in the somewhere in the United States. I can't afford to send it to somewhere else. So unfortunately, if you're in China or something, I can't help you. But I had her custom make this for me, and I'm really excited to hopefully have this find a wonderful home. It's got little dragons on it, and knights and swords and all kinds of really cool stuff that just really screams Dungeons and Dragons. What do you guys think about this?
That's super sick, honestly. I love it.
Often Quelt, and as Justin said, Child's Play is a great charity, and it actually was founded by the guys behind Penny Arcade, and they've been around for a while at this point. So,
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Really been doing this shit for a while.
Yeah, there's actually a bunch of testimonials. One that I really liked says, um, there's a whole page of them. Here we are. There's a bunch of these little testimonials about games being used to save children's lives, and
Hmm.
being in stress and pain and taking that away can make a child better. Who was it? There was the Patch Adams movie was based on a guy who believed that laughter is the best medicine, right?
Yeah.
When you're constantly focusing on something, it doesn't help you mentally, and it certainly doesn't help you physically. So this is a very cool program to kind of help those children around the world. So I hope you'll consider donating. Um, this is our reach out to the community to help these children, especially with what's going on in COVID. So, do you guys have anything you want to add?
No. Yeah. I
Actually,
think you.
looks like yeah. Looks like it's been around since 2013, so they've been kicking around for 17 years, helping child's hospitals. I call that a win.
Yeah, for sure. I enjoyed it. All right,
Hmm.
so like I said, you can head on over to critacademy.com /post/episode 200, and there's a link there. You can just go to childsplaycharity.org. Either way, if you do donate, you can send the email to us with a some sort of snippet, proof of donation with the title "Child's Play Charity" in the subject line, and you'll be entered to win this homemade uh, Dungeons and Dragons sort of blanket. So,
Hmm.
all right.
Whoa.
Very
I
cool.
think that'll do it for our Let's Talk About Blank segment. Before we move on to the main topic, which I'm really excited about, I really want to get down to this. Every episode we give away fat loots. What do we do? What do we got today? Who's our winner today? Or what do we got going on?
Well, we got to say what we're giving them first.
Right, right.
So today's giveaway is from Lore Smith because they love us and we love them. Today we're giving away the Modular Dungeon Tiles, the Arcania set. Now, the Arcania digital tile set lets you make dark, shadowy dungeon maps rich with the fumes of arcane secrets. Maybe this time there's going to be some cool little laughing gas to help the children keep laughing so they don't got to worry about all that pain. And we're not going to worry about the other option. That's the only option today.
Very cool.
Our winner today is Jesse Who Games. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Woo! Hoot, 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 hoot. All that good jazz. Way to get into it, team. We give this stuff away every week. If you didn't win, have no fear. Head on over to critacademy.com/luresmith. Check out some free stuff. You can sign up to be entered to win this and a myriad of other prizes we're always giving away. It really is always fun. So now on to the big topic. We're going to build a 5-room dungeon. Now,
Yeah.
what is a 5-room dungeon? I discovered this. I actually used to be like the 3 or 4-room dungeon, but I found the article by John Four at roleplaytips.com, and it's all about the structure of the 5-room dungeon. You can find a link to it in our show notes, or you can Google it. Why do I love the 5-room dungeon? First of all, they can be in any location, which is fantastic. It's short and sweet, which I love because I'm lazy and I don't have the time to spend hours upon hours writing out stories.
For sure.
They're easier to polish and refine, which I think is just part of it being a modular design. They're portable between different locations and flexible in size. And those are some great reasons why I think it's great. Now, for clarification, it says 5-room dungeons. It's basically just like the 5 core events that happen in the dungeon. You can put
Right.
a 5-room dungeon design in a mega dungeon where it's mostly a dungeon crawl except for these 5 unique sort of events that occur. So, Brandon, do you want to tell us about what room 1 is?
Room 1 is about the entrance and a guardian. There should be a reason as to why the dungeon has not been pilfered yet, why no one's been in there for centuries, or so on and so forth. Maybe there's a specific trap set, or there's like what was that one where the haunt? Before you enter the house, there's 2 guardians in the doorway that prevent you from getting in. That's pretty much room 1.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. What are some other? Do you guys have any other examples of what a good room 1 would be for the entrance?
my actual first thing that I thought of was actually one of the encounters that we've done on the show, which was the one door where you had to speak in Draconic at it, and it actually allowed you to get in. You needed someone who is actually of Draconic bloodline to actually be able to get in.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I
Very
thought
loud.
first. You had
Yeah.
to speak open, and if you weren't Draconic, and even if you knew Draconic, they were like,
Eh.
sorry, can't do it.
What about you, Ian?
Well, when I read like the description of Guardian, the first thing I think of is like a giant statue of a soldier saying "Vigil."
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
2 hands on the palm of a great sword, point down, or some sort of like possessive armor or something like that. Something epic.
Yep.
At least I think that's epic.
And sometimes it can just be a hazardous terrain. Maybe the reason this dungeon hasn't been explored is because it's at the bottom of a swamp, and you have to dive into the swamp to even get to it, so nobody knows it's there.
It's in the core of a volcano.
Or
That's
a
the beginning of
volcano,
the
right?
dungeon.
Old Handy says he's a fan of magic doors. We did a whole episode all about the magic
Yeah.
doors and the varieties that you can do. And in fact, I think one of the posts that just came out that you made on our YouTube channel there, Ian, was about a door.
Yep.
And one of the guys in the comments was talking about being a cool different door, and I thought, what would be cooler than an entrance that's like one of those airplane TS agent metal detectors, but instead it's got the effects of like the rust monster. So when the heroes walk in, their shit's just like starts melting. So we got one good idea right now for some sort of magic door. What kind of monsters? Just a random monster that took up, made it its kind of its lair, and so nobody can get there because you got the big bad, random beast that's floating around. I think. What would we do for magic door?
Ooh. Also, we touched on.
How about? Go ahead, Ian.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. How about a magical door that when you open it and you enter it, it takes you to just a single room, but there's nothing in it. So it's just like some random place in the side of a mountain, for example. But with proper arcana checks and being able to disable the door, when you open it and there is no magic on the door, it takes you to the actual dungeon itself. It's like a gateway.
Oh, I actually I like this.
That's
So
kinda
it
cool.
Yeah. I mean, it almost went like a little demi-plane trip there, but no, I like the idea of just you open the door and
Yeah.
you're like, now guys, I know we're in the middle of a forest, but why is it when I open this door we're suspended 10,000 feet in the air?
That
I'm
that
not about it.
that reminds me of in the Doctor Strange flick. They've got the windows that show other places. When you open it, it's a portal that drops you into this other area. And he's got the
Yeah.
little knob that he twists, and it like instantly like flashes and ends up somewhere else. So I think that would
And
be
maybe-
real. Go ahead.
Maybe that's the key. That maybe there's some object you got put by the door to turn it off.
Okay, I like
the
that.
spelling door too. I don't know.
The
It's
what?
something that involves the player
Uh-huh.
with the whole interaction of like doing checks and stuff.
So another thing that you could do would be a skill challenge. Maybe it's like a complex lock, either for more than just picking the lock. Feline Fine Gaming says Howl's Moving Castle style door. I love it. That's a really good
Yeah.
one. You could have some sort of skill challenge to unlock it, and what would be fun with this is if you set the DC, say it's 15 and you got to get 3 successes before 2 failures, right? And if they fail, the gate still opens, but sends them somewhere random where they're not expecting to go. Like into the middle of a desert instead of a dungeon. Like instead of like killing them or hurting them, it just drops them somewhere else randomly. I think that could be really cool too. So I think.
Or
Go ahead.
on top of
Handy in
this,
chat
actually,
says, because say it was overcast, he's thinking about how players could collect a sun or a moonstone, have it cast a light from the appropriate stone onto a door to reveal the correct passphrase.
Oh, that's some Avatar level shit right there. I like
Yeah,
that.
'cause I was thinking if we want to stick with the whole magical transportation door, we could actually make it so that if they rolled exceptionally high, let's say, they could actually make it so it's almost a shortcut.
Oh,
So they can actually rewire the door to actually go a little bit further beyond than where they would have intended to actually
right,
go.
right into the treasure room.
Why not?
The problem is that the door is still locked though from the
Well,
other
yeah,
side. I
They still
love it.
have to get through, but yes,
I like
that is
that.
the idea.
So
So
is-
that way, if you have a player who's obviously geared towards doing this kind of stuff, they've clearly studied in Arcana and do anything
right.
like that, they can get rewarded for being an expert in that field,
Oh.
at least.
Fantastic. Oh, go ahead, Ian.
We can combine a few of these together already. Like, okay, magic door, simple enough. And how about when the player's trying to open it by default, it immediately opens to a hazardous area. In fact, maybe they might even inflicted damage just from opening the door, because like it was like a volcano, as we said earlier. But if they use an object like a sun or a moonstone in front of the door to reveal a hidden phrase, and you speak that phrase, it'll then go to the correct location. That doesn't light you on fire.
That's some good ideas. Why don't so it sounds like we're gonna go with a magic door for room 1. Austin, will you write that up in there real quick and add the teleportation key feature and item lock mechanism or something like that. Just some short notes that I can. Brandon, your mic is feeding back my audio, so put it on push to talk, please. So can you fill that in there for our room 1 there on our show notes? And we will go ahead and move to room 2. So what is room 2? Room 2 is a puzzle or role-playing challenge. The PCs are victorious over the challenge of the first room, in this case actually just entering inside, and are now presented with a trial that cannot be solved with steel. This keeps problem solvers in your group happy and breaks the action up for good pacing. So you want to make room 2 a puzzle, a skill challenge, or a role-playing encounter, if possible. Now, room 2 should shine the limelight on a different PC than room 1 did. This is where I really like the 5-room challenge, because most games have 5 players or somewhere around there. So you could almost build every room based around a different character specialization, which is fantastic. So it should not only shine the light, but because of that, it changes up the gameplay and offers a variety of challenges throughout from the entrance to the end of the dungeon, which I think is really cool. Now, it is worth noting that if you've picked room 1 is already this sort of encounter, feel free to make room 2 more combat oriented. For us, we are going to talk more about, I think, let's ask the audience, do you guys think this should be some sort of puzzle or roleplay? I'm leaning towards roleplay personally. What kind of encounters would you guys toss into this while our audience is coming up with something?
I kind of agree with the roleplay aspect, but go ahead, Ian.
In our particular case, since the first room was kind of a puzzle that kind of focused a little bit more on skills or solving a riddle, I don't mind some sort of like puzzle room, but have it lean more towards religion, since I don't think we've seen stuff like that too much. So, since we didn't really have much combat in the first place, let's say, for example, you have to subdue 9 statues. Each one is a different god. Each god is from a different alignment, from like the 9 alignments in D&D.
Mm-hmm.
And then you must organize each defeated statue in the order of the corresponding alignment on the floor tiles, to then trigger the door to open up to the next area.
That's pretty cool. That does make sense. I like that. We got a picture here from Silver, or a comment from Silverworth said it should be a role play, portraits of the last person who lived in that location. So how is that going to help us? Is that going to be a portrait and you have to figure out who it is in order to open a lock or a gateway? What do you think, Brandon?
I'm not too sure. I was really distracted on finding my push to talk button, so I'm a little alone on the second room here.
It's okay.
Actually, when the first thing I thought when I said that was like, picture Doctor Who, for example. They're on like what, 13 doctors now? Each one has a different appearance. And what you walk into the room and you see portraits of 13 different people, but you don't realize that they're all the same individual. That's not kind of other incarnations. So what if you have to actually organize the portraits in order of each incarnation?
Oh, that's really cool. I think that would go well. Silver Wolf actually elaborated if someone's proficient in history who could identify the person in important portrait. I think that ties into what you want, and maybe they need to be organized in a certain a certain order, or maybe there's items inside the room that are tied to the history of each one. So a roll of the dice could then say, okay, this person is known for murdering an innocent and going to prison. So you find some shackles on the ground. Okay, you ever been in a what is the escape room, something like that, where you got to put all the different clues together? And I think tying them to some portraits is a good way to do that. Go ahead.
Or
he puts up his hand.
the room belongs to a serial killer, and each portrait was a painting that corresponds to each of their famous murders. You must organize them in the order of the murders.
You know what? That's actually really good, because we did that as a encounter concept one time, where we did it. The murderer was Rob Boss, and all the paintings where his victims were at. Right. So I like that. Any Brandon's just cracking up. Does anybody got anything else? Otherwise, we'll move on to the next room, because I think that's really good. We got the complicated puzzle doorway that could teleport to the location or randomly. I like the idea of it maybe having a shortcut depending on how well you do. The next challenge would be tied to some sort of history, which is a skill I think is a good one to pick, because it's not as something that gets as much focus. In this case, leading to a collection, a skill challenge or locating different kind of puzzles to solve, to escape. I like the painting idea. That would actually make really good sense. Any other ideas before we move on to number 3? All right.
I'm locked down for the most part.
Okay. All right. Austin, if you get a second, you can kind of just sum up that into room 2 for us. That would be great. Brandon, did I skip room 3? Oh, I did. Actually, Ian, would you like to tell us about room 3?
Room 3, trick or setback. The purpose of this room is to build tension. Do this using a trick, trap, or setback. For example, after defeating a tough monster and players think they finally found the treasure and achieved their goal, they learn they've been tricked and the room is a false crypt, that being one example. Depending on your system, this room can cater to any player or character types not yet served by the first 2 areas. And alternatively, you can give the group a sort of double dose of gameplay that they enjoy the most, such as combat or role-playing. And PCs can reach a secret artifact to defeat the big bad. Dang pop-ups. Pop over the script. Alternative... Okay. PCs can reach a secret artifact to defeat the big bad, but it's broken, cursed, or missing a piece.
Ooh, right. I like that.
So it'd be like if you found like the Sword of Omens from Thundercats, but it's missing the Eye of Thundara.
Oh, that's really good. What does our audience think? What kind of trick or setback would you put in this dungeon? I love the Eye of Thundara. That's kind of like finding the Infinity Gauntlet without the stones. You know what I mean? Hey, you got this powerful item, but it doesn't work without.
It kind of works. It's serviceable.
Or find the Excalibur, but it's in the stone.
What the party?
What's that be?
You're not. Or inversely, you could go the Soul Eater route, and anybody can pull Excalibur out of the stone. It's a sentient weapon that's so annoying that most people just shove him back in because they are sick of dealing with them within 5 minutes.
That's funny.
Someone in the chat said split the party. Yeah, that's a pretty big setback.
That's a good one. Something that forces instantly, I think I was playing Final Fantasy VII, the remake, and there's a part where you have to split the party in order to open certain doors, but only one, you have to hold it while you go through, and then, you pull it up, and then it closes behind, then the other group has to move to open a door. So forcing the party to split in order to access a new pathway or secret passage, something like that could be really, really good. Old Handy says roof of a parade caves if they go the wrong way, forces them to circle back the same way. Now you're talking about getting stuck in kind of a spinning loop. Hey, Austin, why don't you tell them about your experience with that?
Let's pass.
Are you sure? I thought it was funny.
Where we needed a map, and we're like, oh, hey, guys, I think those 3 sets of footprints, I think those are ours. Talk about that one?
Yeah.
They just kept going in circles because they started following the footprints. It took them a while to figure out the footprints they were following were their own. So I definitely...
This map looks very familiar.
No, since we haven't really done much combat-wise yet, what we could do is building off the split the party idea. When they go into this room, automatically splits up the party into a maze.
Ooh.
And going off of the traditional role for mazes or a labyrinth, could be a couple of different creatures and they're stalking down the players, hunting them down. Be it like, a minotaur, something like the Predator.
Oh,
Have you?
man. Dude, I love that. So, give them... I think giving the Minotaur or some other stalker the rope trip ability, and then just pulling people into portal areas and then sealing it so they can't leave, so you get that total turnaround and the person's gone moment. Because the rope trick basically allows you to go right into like a pocket dimension. So having somebody stalking the party that has something like that could be really cool. I like that. So far we've got the split the party mechanic. We could do... So did we decide what would cause the party to split?
I was thinking a little less on a labyrinthian kind of thing and more like a... There are just portals open, and like there needs to be a set of players that need to go take care of the portal, whereas the other set of players have to protect those players so they don't get, punched in the face while they're trying to disable these portals. That's kind of more
I like
route
that.
I was thinking of, but it's a little simple, but
Simple's good.
Or they enter a room full of portals, which they must progress, but the moment somebody steps through one of the portals, it immediately closes.
Ah, yeah, Feline Fine Gaming says a chain of portals, one entrance, but it takes each player to a different direction. Madhouse Natasha's Kiss did this really, really well. So I like that. What do you think, B?
My first thought was a very classic puzzle. Definitely a setback. I assume you've all played Skyrim, right? Of course. Yeah. You know how you go through some dungeons, they'll have like the pillars of the eagle, the whale, and something else. You got to match those up.
That's a good example.
It's going to require a map, and you got all these symbols on the floor, and you see a particular order on the back wall, and you have to follow these symbols in that order. If you touch the wrong one, not only does that tile fall into this massive ravine, but all those tiles with that symbol also fall.
That's
making it
terrifying.
possibly difficult.
You know what
saying,
you could do?
Okay, so
sorry, go ahead.
it's like, this is the pattern. Okay, I got square, circle, triangle, but the next square is 10 feet away, so I got to try to do a standing jump to get to it.
Another thing is you could tie it as a callback to the previous room. Maybe something in the paintings is also additional clue for this room as well.
We should do something like that, because that's kind of the idea of a dungeon, is to be cohesive.
Yeah.
So...
that's why we're doing ideas now, and then when I write it, it'll all be combined, and thematic. But I think it would be cool to make it a callback to something in the previous room, because this could give a person with a high intelligence. You could say, give me an intelligence check. You actually remember on one of those images, this icon sort of thing looks similar to what you're looking at here, and let that kind of character archetype shine. Go ahead.
So yeah, that kind of makes me think, what if in like the paintings they were focused on the people, but however, in like the background parts of the image, which is obviously what no one focuses on, is like where like all of like the portals and stuff, if we're going to go with the whole portal idea, maybe you could see which set of portals, or like maybe the color of them, if they're designated by color, like you're like, oh wait, no, this makes sense, because that means this one was green, and it looked like he was walking towards the green portal, and then he came out, and now we can kind of see, without even realizing it, we kind of saw what the inner workings of the dungeon looked like already.
Very cool.
Ooh.
I like that.
Going off of the artifact idea that we pitched earlier, what if the players almost immediately find the artifact they need, the creature that's stalking them and hunting them down has a missing component or is powered by the missing component.
Oh,
like
that is
that too.
cool. Write that down. Do we got anything?
Or
Go ahead.
again with the missing artifact, because obviously players are gonna want the artifact because loot.
Right.
We could. What if when they take the artifact, maybe I don't know, maybe like it could be like a whole like double-edged sword kind of thing where like obviously if they take this artifact, it can get them to the boss much quicker. However, it's very clearly like sprung with a trap. So like now it's not necessarily they have to figure it out, is are they willing to take the risk to take
That's cool.
the artifact and do something with it?
I like that.
Or the creature, or the artifacts inside the creature,
I like that
like a
too.
golem.
So yeah, well you could still get a combat encounter and then you can kind of
Boulders.
Be right
the
back.
sword and the boulder golem.
What about you, B? Anything, Dad? Okay.
Fair enough.
All right. I think so. We got some good stuff for room 3, Austin. Make sure you get that noted down somewhere. I see you're not adding it actually to the show notes, so you'll have to probably send me whatever you got.
Oh,
Are you?
I'm adding it in the
Actually-
show notes. Yeah.
what we said earlier, what if you have to assemble the artifact and there's multiple creatures in the maze that contains the shards, and to hunt them down to assemble it?
Ooh, that's like that's cool. Isn't there a magical staff in D&D that comes in set like a set that's torn apart and you assemble it and
Something
it's
like
ultimate power.
Yeah, unlimited cosmic power.
All right, so that'll do it for room 3. Yeah, I don't see your updates. I wonder if my stuff's outdated. Let me hit refresh. Oh yeah, I see it now. That's weird. Oh, it might be because I had it on writer format or non-editor. That doesn't matter. Anyways, so that'll do it for room 3. Room 4. This room is the climax, the big battle or the conflict. In this room is the big show. It's the final combat or conflict encounter of the dungeon. You use all the tactics you can summon to make this encounter memorable and entertaining. As always, generate interesting terrain that will impact the battle. Actually, we just released fantastic terrain too, so if you want great terrain, that's a great source to check out. All kinds of buffs and boons and stuff to help and hinder heroes. Anyways, start or end with roleplay. It's not, while the players might jump right into combat, I think it's best you should start with roleplay. Maybe the big bad needs to stall for time or let some sort of buff that the PCs have wear out. Waiting, maybe he's trying to wait for help to arrive, or maybe trying to ramp himself up into some sort of rage, whatever it may be. Perhaps even the combat ends with the bad guy bleeding to death and a few short words can be exchanged. And then his helpless minions or prisoners to roleplay with once the threat is dealt with. So even though you fight the big bad, that doesn't have to be necessarily the person you roleplay with. Maybe the last room you enter in is where a ritual is taking place and you run into the little minions surrounding the cauldron as they're chanting and casting their spell, and then the boss walks in as you are kicking their asses or something. What are some good ideas you guys got?
A pretty strong idea that kind of ties back to what this whole serial killer dungeon, I guess, would be. So, I want to imagine that there's a guy who is sitting on like a throne of bones of all the people he's killed, and he sees you come in, and it's just like this like long cathedral, like just dark, damp area where like he's very clearly like he's done this for a long time. You don't know how long, but he's done it for a while, and like the players just walk in, like maybe they could just like feel the gravity of like the situation where like, oh, this guy's very clearly dangerous and has killed a lot of people. That's just to kind of like set the mood in.
That's very cool. I like that.
Or better yet,
Oop, wrong guy.
that guy that's on the throne, we go back to the paintings where it shows the paintings of the prior owners of everything.
Mm-hmm.
He is the last painting, and every prior owner has been murdered via assassins, whatever, and he's the one that's constantly waiting for those visitors to kill them off. And he's assembled this chair out of all the bones of the people who has tried to come to take him out. Not only that, but the paintings from the first room are larger in the last room, and they are the poltergeists of the former owners that he summons to help.
Ooh, that's
I'm not
pretty
sure
cool.
I'm gonna write all that down.
No, just shorten it. So we actually got some really great suggestions in here in the chat. Old Handy says, how about an over-analytical stone golem that has to keep its master's lair just right? Chase the party down to put the artifact back on its shelf. First of all, that's hilarious. Like, I'm reminded of in World of Warcraft, the Karazhan, they have the curator guy, this giant kind of guy who keeps the whole area safe and organized or whatever. Then Andrew adds on to it, you could add a piece of loot like a magical war pick that needs to that's needed in order to get an item stored inside of an earth elemental later on in order to help solve a problem or a puzzle. That's really cool. I like the idea of offering what seems like a mundane item early on, and then you find out the item that opens the door to the next chamber, to the final room, or completing the puzzle or the challenge is the gem that's powering either a construct or an earth golem. That is so cool. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Wow. Way to be enthused.
I like the hilarity of the idea. That's
Yeah.
really it.
Yeah,
so
it's all right.
I think they just shot
You
your
know.
ideas down, guys.
No,
So
it's not
I
like it's bad. It's just like it's what theme do we want to run with, right?
Right.
Because like serial killer's home, and while an over-analytical golem would be cool, does it fit the theme of
that we've got, yeah.
And that's kind of
I
the
gotcha.
hard part.
So in
'Cause
this final,
while it
Golem's
is
a butler.
or like that'd be great. The golem is a butler. However, would that detract from what we're trying to set the mood as? And
Maybe.
that's kind of
Right.
the issue we're
I
running
can see
into.
what you can say. So all right, so murderer, puzzles, final boss battle. Is it a confrontation of the of a big boss, or see that's the thing though. Those people early on with the puzzles and stuff with the portraits may not necessarily be the people that are there now. I kind of like the idea with the curator, but I also like what you said. So
Also, we could actually make it if this guy is like the owner or whatever, this new person the new resident, I guess, the serial killer. We could also say like maybe like he does. Obviously, like the players would be like their first instinct is, oh, bad guy, kill him. However, obviously he doesn't care about the players. He doesn't know who they are unless he
right.
does. But so that could lead to an interesting roleplay opportunity where he could cut them a deal and just be like, look,
I
you
like
can
that.
keep the artifact, just leave. Leave me be. I don't want to fight for it, but if you guys come at me with it, then I guess you'll just be added to these pile of bones I'm sitting on, and I get to keep my artifact. So, so
I like that.
And also, you keep the artifact and take it away. It keeps that away from here, so I call that a win too.
I agree. What
so
about
again, like easy to roleplay with that, I think.
what do you think, B?
Okay, so what if when they get to the final chamber, the big bad guy, and they take him out, they come to the realization that he's killing off all these adventurers that are trying to get him to save them from a worse fate. And that is that whoever kills the current resident becomes the next resident and cannot leave this area without some form of major magical spell.
They become
Ooh.
imprisoned?
And like,
yes,
that's
like
like
that-
the whole thing. Oh my goodness, that'd be
Yeah, like the person who does the killing blow on him
that should
cannot
that
leave
should
the
just be
sanctuary.
part 5. That's the plot twist.
Old,
That's it.
Old,
right?
old Handy says the paintings are all victims of a soul jar. Isn't that a magical item that traps people's souls?
Yeah.
I think so. Soldier.
So I think we're onto something here. So So you basically just finished number 5.
No, yeah, you absolutely did, and I'm all for it because that sounds awesome. That is such a good plot twist. They think they're invading this person's house, but really he's just a prisoner. That's great.
Oh, and one of the
Yeah.
characters it might end
That's
up
great.
becoming. All
prisoner.
right, so
Yeah.
that could be great because that could affect how the person role plays in the encounter. Maybe it begs for its life or asks for to be freed, right? So we got some good stuff with 4, so let's go ahead and move. We already talked about the plot twist, but room 5 is the reward, revelation, and plot twist. Here's your opportunity to change the player's bragging to, we came, we saw, we slipped on a banana peel. Room 5 doesn't always have to represent a complication or a point of failure for the PCs, but it can. Room 5 doesn't always need to be a physical location either. It can just be a twist revealed in room 4, as Brandon just totally slipped on this banana peel. Room 5 is where your creativity can shine and is often what will make the dungeon different and memorable from any other dungeon in the campaign setting, which is important. In addition, if you haven't supplied the reward yet for conquering in the dungeon, here's a great place, whether it's an object, a quest, loot, valuable information that the PCs need, what have you. As accounting tasks take over from recent thrilling combat tasks, this would be a good time to make the campaign have some sort of revelation or plot twist, in either involving that current dungeon or the world overall, which I think is a great way to do it. And you guys know me, I love it when we have an idea where the big bad isn't always just an evil bastard trying to conquer the world or kill some people. I really like those ones where there's more to it than that, because every villain has a story. And in this case, the villain there isn't really a villain. The PCs just see him as villains until they understand him. Now, that revelation may not ever come to fruition. You might have the players just attack and be done with it, and then find out later after the fact. Now, that would be cool, because if they just killed him outright and somebody else got forced to be the new prisoner, they are a result of their own decision, right? What do you guys think? Andrew says, I missed the first 30 minutes. What kind of serial killer are we dealing with? Rob Boss, apparently.
Yeah, Rob Boss. We haven't really thought too hard on it. I think that's kind of the point of it, too.
Right.
Like, you don't have to think too heavily on it. You just can tell, thanks to the context clues everywhere, that this guy is probably dangerous.
Right.
Or this place is dangerous. But he's not.
And I really like the 5-room format because it is so versatile. For instance, early on we talked about using the paintings as clues. That painting as clues can fit any theme on the fly. If you guys go into a fire dungeon, those paintings have something to do with fire in some way. Maybe they show where the ashes of an elemental are stored separately, and if you bring them together, you can, conjure an elemental to fight for you or some shit. And that's one thing I really like about the 5-room dungeon. Honestly, I don't actually call it the 5-room dungeon. I do modules, but this is the theme that all of my games revolve around, because I like modular versatility, mostly because I got tired of trying to draw out 20 things and then trying to pigeonhole the players into it. This gives us really great versatility.
Even going with the 5-room dungeon thing, you could even make it so it's just because, like the first one is a magic door, right? You could easily make any entrance to anywhere a magic door that transports you somewhere else to keep anything away.
Right.
Like, it's so simple. It works. And then the paintings, like, even say you're in like a cathedral, like you're obviously like a consecrated ground, right? Maybe that's where the dungeon takes place. It's weird, but maybe this holy place isn't actually so holy once you dig deeper in, and that's kind of
dig.
And maybe the paintings on the walls just signify like the story of, I can't believe I'm saying this because I'm playing Descent into Avernus, but maybe it's the order of an angel falling from grace.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not specifically Zariel, of course.
Right.
But just like maybe it was like a diva. And it was just like this thing that was supposed to be this, this bastion of good.
Right.
And maybe that's at the end of the dungeon. He's still there.
overall,
Stuff like that.
it sounds like we've got a pretty great outline for me to write a dungeon. I love the soul jar idea. Looks like Old Handy has a few other ideas. The big bad could be overtaking the bodies of his own children, swapping bodies to stay immortal, but keeps paintings because he still loves them in his own sick, twisted way. That is cool. So if your plot twist isn't that he's a victim, but he's afraid to die, and he has created a spell or some ritual that lets him jump between his children.
That's a good one.
That would be really, really cool.
It's a very Orochimaru
Yeah.
and Naruto kind of thing, where
I
it's like he tries to cheat death by just keeps body swapping with other people, which is super good. That was always such a good, like, creepy thing that I always enjoyed.
Like Flutter from Dragon Age, or like Urza's mom from Fairy Tail.
Yep.
Very solid stuff. I like that.
All right.
His name Blackbeard from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of sources you can pull from for that theme. So overall, I think we got something pretty good here. What do you guys think overall about the 5-room dungeon strategy?
I will have to use this in the future.
I definitely get simplicity.
Andrew says the painting canvas could be the skins of his victims. If you want to get dark.
Yeah, if you really want to get gritty, yeah, you could, yeah.
I think that'll do it for our main topic. Like I said, give me a week or so, and I will write this up into some sort of published format and get it all out to you guys. This is great. I love it. It's
that was
pretty dope.
Really easy. Well, I guess it helps when you have so many people to bounce ideas off of,
Yeah,
but
for
that's
sure.
kind of the point.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. We need to do more things like this because I love the interaction and suggestions because honestly, when I'm writing stuff, I run out of ideas sometimes. And if I don't go look for inspiration, I don't do very well.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. That'll do it for our main topic today. Let's build a 5-room dungeon together. Before we move on to our Unearthed tips and tricks, this episode is brought to you by our generous sponsor, Kobold Press. Head on over to critacademy.com/Kobold Press and check out their latest Kickstarter, The Southlands, an Egyptian-themed style campaign setting. I love it because I was a really big fan of the Rick Royden's Percy Jackson and his whole like Egyptian themed story. I can't remember the name of it right off the top of my head right now, but because it's been years. But I love the Egyptian theme. I love the whole. You can do so much more than just desert with the Egyptian theme, and it really pulls it off. So consider checking it out if you really are into the whole power of Ra and spirits of the undead and mummy style gameplay. So, all right. Let's move on to our Unearthed tips and tricks. We bring you new and reusable material for both players and DMs. Brandon, would you like to tell us about our character concept?
It's a long one.
Jeez.
The character concept is Griff. Griff the Complete by patron Louis M. Guadio. Well, Guadio. Sorry, Louis. I don't know. Griff resents the term halfling because he is, in his own words, a complete creature.
Okay.
Really?
That's funny.
All right.
Oh,
That's a
God.
character.
If anyone calls him a halfling within earshot, Griff will stop everything to ask the perpetrator whether they mean to say he is only the left or right half, or perhaps just the legs and feet of a creature. What precisely do they mean by a halfling?
I'm
Good one.
kind of picturing Elric from Fullmetal Alchemist every time somebody calls him short.
Yeah, he does have a similar reaction, doesn't he?
He does.
That's funny.
Yeah.
It's like, who are you calling tiny little peep sweet? That's not what I said, dude. I like
Griff is
characters.
a traveling.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, is there?
There's a lot more.
Yeah, there's like freaking paragraphs. Griff is a traveling mercenary willing to offer his services as a bodyguard to anyone who pays well enough and isn't too disagreeable, morally speaking. Griff and his 4 brothers, Graf, Grief, and Gruff.
What a great submission.
Oh man.
Graf, Grief, Gruff, and Kevin. Started a mercenaries for a hire business in a small pioneer town that quickly grew into a franchise. Griff's current plan is to find strong warriors to travel alongside and hone his skills, while simultaneously increasing his presence in a competitive market. Griff is a fighter who almost exclusively wields a crossbow. Uh, he has high intelligence but very low charisma, which manifests in his ability to come up with great tactics to ambush or trap enemies. But his skills as a battle planner don't translate socially.
Stand over there, you idiot.
He he considers himself smart. He considers himself smart and tries to investigate mysteries he or his group encounter, but is usually unsuccessful due to him being unable to navigate social norms when questioning witnesses. Griff is not mean or cruel, just practical. In some ways, his personality is based off of the character Mike Ehrmantraut from Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Griff and his brothers were once employed by the Zentarum, but at the end of a long job, they were cheated out of their pay. Griff has held a personal grudge against the organization and any of its agents since that day, as it feels they still owe him a great debt.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. I love this.
And this is like background and everything. This is the whole character, whole shebang.
Yeah.
You're done. Don't even have to think about anything else. I like the brothers.
I think he did really great with the. It's interesting because he's a fighter, but he focuses solely on ranged, which is pretty good. I like the idea that he's all about strategy, but can't get it across to other people. And I think Ian did it really well. Stand over there, you idiot! Oh, very
This could
fun.
be a good one. This is a good one.
I like it. It's very
I like
fleshed out.
like the whole halfling trope's really well done. I like the fact that you can tell he has family. Maybe like other players get confused by them.
Mhm.
So, Griff, and you're like, "Hey, Grief!" And he's like, "No, I'm Griff. Griff.
Kevin?
Kevin."
They all look alike.
He's like,
Oh gosh.
Kevin. He's like, that's the weird one too, and you still got me wrong.
That'll do. I think that it's good. I think that'll do it for our character concept. Griff the Complete. Thank you, Lewis, for the submission.
That was pretty good.
Ian, would you like to tell us about our monster variant?
Our monster variant today is the Fatal Fern.
Oh shit.
The origin of it is the giant toad. Creatures that loses are swim speed, stunning leap, and amphibious. Makes sense because they're going from a plant from an amphibian. Two features are false appearance. While the fern remains motionless, it is indistinguishable from a normal fern. It gains Divine Whip melee attack, which does some really fun stuff. Just like pulling anybody who's hit towards it. And it can also swallow as a bonus action if the victim's too close. And Entangling Roots, recharge 6. Grasping weeds and vines spring from the ground in a 20-foot square radius, sprouting from the fern. For 1 minute, these plants turn the ground into an area to difficult terrain from all other creatures. And the creature in the area, when this feature is used, must succeed on a DC 13 Strength saving throw, or be restrained by the entangling plants until the feature ends. That's nasty. A creature restrained by the plants can use its action to make another strength check. On a success, it's free!
So
Restrained.
This is a fun concept because first of all, let's talk about the giant toad's coolest ability is Swallow, which basically they make a basic attack, and if they grapple you, you're restrained. And then every round you take acid damage that you're in there. So while this plant can't move very far, you would assume the movement is 0, and that's what I put on the stat block. I mean, actually, I think it's 5, but its Vine Whip can reach 20 feet and can pull 20 feet when it hits somebody. And the Entangle Root stops people from getting away. So
Pretty good.
It's totally not based on the giant flower from Mario at all. Its teeth are massive and it's big enough to devour people. So, what do you guys think?
And the middle fern, I believe, still has movement, right? Despite being a plant?
Yeah. Like 5 feet, I think.
Okay.
It's not much.
False appearance, vine whip, entangled roots. Is this Venusaur?
Yes.
That's
thought
what it
something
sounds like.
similar. I was like,
Actually,
until I realized it's
Venusaur,
actually
yeah.
just a giant, just plant thing. But
Yeah, it looks more
uh,
like the ones from Mario, at least in the art that I used for our
yeah,
patrons.
this could be fun.
Yeah.
If like you could just put this at like certain doorways and stuff, so they have to encounter this thing
Yeah, see,
instead of them running away from it.
I like it just being something that's part of the natural terrain in a forest. And when
Yeah.
you when you're doing those survival checks to not get lost and they fail, sure they're gonna get to where they're going still. They'll lose a day and they'll run into one of these bastards. That's how I like to roll with it. So
Yeah.
I have completely fleshed out this monster. I got a whole page of lore and stuff that our patrons will be getting this Tuesday, I think. So all the monsters now
Pretty cool.
are really fleshed out, and our patrons get nice little stuff. So if you like stuff like this, consider supporting us.
Mhm.
I think that'll do it for our monster variant, the Fatal Fern. Austin, would you like to tell us about our encounter of the podcast?
Sure. Our encounter of the podcast is Warriors Unrest. The characters, as well as many other adventurers who have been hired to delve into a recently discovered sunken temple in a swampy marsh. After the first group unlocked the temple's main gate, the area became flooded with a variety of undead, such as ghasts, ghosts, ghouls, mummies, and zombies. Why do they all start with GH? I'll never know. Many heroic adventurers delve inside, but none have returned. A successful DC 15 history check reveals that the temple was once a paladin temple. A powerful lich brought it to its knees and sank it to the salty marsh. The characters enter and fight waves of the undead. With a successful DC 17 investigation or wisdom perception check, quickly reveals strange dark arcane sigils and magic circles throughout the temple. A successful DC 17 intelligence, arcana, or religion check reveals the symbols to necromancy bonding magic. The magic is designed to bind the souls of those freshly slain to their dead corpses. In doing it, twists their minds and fills it with anger and hate. All the monsters are remains of heroes and paladins who have fallen in battle and are trapped in the temple, wandering endlessly. Peppered throughout the dungeon are fire-breathing statues that deal radiant damage instead of fire damage. And 2 raids guard this temple as ordered by the Lich, converting heroes into dark slaves. So, as long as they survive, they protect the power source of arcane magic, a crystal ball that has been harnessed to power the warrior's unrest spell. A creature who dies within the temple randomly becomes an undead. DM chooses which one or decides randomly. Cool. Nice little dungeon delve.
What do you guys think?
I like it. I like the whole anything with like arcane sigils and magic circles everywhere. I'm a fan.
Do you think it's too much that if a player dies in there to have their corpse wandering around aimlessly?
Nope.
Nope.
No.
However, depending on the level and depending on how freshly they have died, because I know there are spells out there like Revivify, and you might want to give them just like a little bit of a chance to kind of bring them back to life. Like maybe say like their soul is struggling and they're like, oh god, please, wait, guys.
I can see that.
Ooh.
Just any kind of check.
Oh.
I don't know what kind you would do. You could just be like an extra death save or something.
Andrew says, use a summon spell. Summon like a bunch of tiny creatures, kill them all, and watch them turn into undead. That's a hell of an awesome necromancer build right there. Horde of little minions.
That'd be scary.
Yeah.
What
I'd be scoring.
what do you think, Brandon?
Yeah, it reminds me of the TikTok I did because this lady's cleric, she wanted to get rid of it, and the DM said, "Okay, we'll do that," and he ends up turning her character into the bad guy at the end, an undead bad guy, and they had to fight against her character, and no one wants their PCs to die, or no one likes that. But I think if a character dies in this area, the DM should give them the option to take that character, turn around and say, go kill your friends.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. I love it.
I like that idea a lot. But that's kind of what I'm like, I don't know, like anything that's kind of like that to make the situation clearly more dangerous.
You've been converted into attack your own players more than anybody I've ever had the privilege of
And
playing
that's only
with.
been one time.
What? No, more than that.
I'm pretty sure it's only been one time.
What time are you thinking of?
The one where I was deep underwater and I was charmed by an aboleth.
Yeah, didn't you? I feel like there
Just-
was another time you started to early in Descent, because of the influence of the stupid
Oh, the
shield
demon
guy.
shield?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
I don't.
didn't do
I think you
anything
got.
with it.
I think you got rid of it beforehand. That's a shame.
Yeah, I
all
didn't
right.
do anything there.
Overall,
Just the one time.
I think this is a lot of fun.
That shield too.
A lot of fun, and I think it's an interesting way to deal with have the undead wandering around. And I just love the idea of having your player wander, just as a player knowing your character is wandering aimlessly inside an ancient temple is just funny.
I also like the idea they just come undead and they just have anger and hatred and they can just fight the players. That'd be cool.
Yeah. All right, that'll do it for our encounter of the podcast, Warriors Unrest. Ian, would you like to tell us about our magic item?
Our magic item today is the Orb of Augmented Stasis. Wondrous, uncommon, requires attunement. When you use this orb as an arcane focus to hold a foe in place, orb hums with power, reinforcing the spell. This elegant pommel-sized blue sky spherical gem is imbued with magic to enhance the user's binding magic. When you hold the orb, your spell save DC and spell attack bonus increase. You cast spells from the School of Enchantment. Additionally, as an action to cast a whole person's spell from it at its lowest level, you cannot use this feature again until next dawn. So, yeah, I
love it. I love.
I assume the spell and attack bonus goes up by 1?
Oh, it
I
doesn't say that,
assume.
does that?
Yeah, I would assume.
Increase by 1. Yeah, it should say that and it doesn't. Oh, I'll have to fix that really quick. Yeah, it's supposed to increase it by 1 for an uncommon item, but you could. Thank you. I love items that boost specific types of spells. This one's enchantment, because enchantment doesn't get enough love, and then tossing in a little hold person seemed like a good idea. I did base this off another object or another item of a similar name from 4th edition, but I obviously the mechanics aren't the same. But one
Right.
thing 4th edition had that I don't see in 5e
Any
is-
ability.
What?
So you have
Like-
any ability that keeps anybody from moving.
Oh.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the one thing that 4E did that I really like is you get magical orbs that buff the caster, not just like give you magic. Like in 5E, all the magic items give you some sort of spell or utility power, but very few actually increase your DC or spell. So adding something small, because I feel like it is such a letdown when a wizard casts a spell and their spells fail. So I always feel like I wanna create stuff that kind of helps increase their chance of success. Because there's nothing worse than saying, I cast hold person, roll. Sorry, he made it. He made the save. Oh, I cast Phantasmal Force. Oh, sorry, he made it. It seems like it happens so much more often than a normal like attack hitting, and it fails so often. And I don't know. So I like things like this. There's a
Yeah.
lot of chat going on here.
Mhm.
Almost a full circle to Howl's Moving Castle from the beginning of the show. That's how we roll. Overall, I like this magic item. Do you guys have any other comments? Nope. All right. That'll do it for our magic item, the Orb of Augmented Stasis. Once again, you can find our show notes at critacademy.com. Our Dungeon Master tip is evolving hazards. There is literally no reason that terrain dangers must stay static, though we often do a kind of a set it and forget it mentality. A great example could be green slime in the DMG. While it only covers a 5-foot square and is designed to catch a character by surprise, you could easily give it more move speed and an initiative, and have it move towards the players and chase them instead of just dropping and that's it. That's one of those terrains that is meant to catch them by surprise, but after that it doesn't do a whole lot. So for me, either having it chase them a little bit or having a lava pool gradually expand out during a battle, having a geyser of like acid spewing out and then start filling up an area. What are some other evolving terrains that you think that are normally static, but that could throughout combat or during an event change.
Thunderstorms, I feel like are one to really kind of go at that with, because like you expect like the lightning strikes and stuff, right? But like you still have all like the rain on the ground and everything. And what if you have the encounter where like these guys are like ice mages or something, and so now they can freeze the whole thing. So like you can even set it so like the monsters can effectively change the terrain as well.
Ooh, I like
Is
that.
what I think about. That's my initial thought.
That's what I often do when I run battle royales. Is I'll start everybody in a large arena, but the sides keep on dropping off, making the arena smaller as the match progresses. And if they're standing in the wrong spot when the terrain falls, they're dead. I always like show some sort of like warning, like glowing glyphs first to give like a 1-round warning.
Right.
I'm not complete, but
yeah, you're nicer than me. What do you think, B?
I'm thinking a very hot, spicy, glowing red terrain that burns if you step in the wrong spot, but you only have a certain amount of time before the volcano erupts, and now you got these molten rocks spewing from the sky.
That's a good one. Something that I'm thinking about, and actually Old Handy just came up with, what about an avalanche? What if your guys are fighting on the side of a snowy mountain and some player decides, hey, I'm going to cast Thunderwave and send a loud shockwave booming, and poof, now you got an avalanche. Or maybe you're in a cave with a big pit, and it starts off as like a 10-foot kind of gap, but you know the area starts rumbling because it's an earthquake or something, and it starts to split and causing a greater threat as the battle goes on. That's because you see the big gaps in the cave all the time. I'm not just saying that because I just did I drew a terrain and had one in there, so I thought, man, it'd be cool if this would like gradually stretch throughout combat. But you can do a lot of stuff like that. The most common evolving terrain, I think, is flooding, right? That's the one that kind of gets used all the time. But
yeah,
I like the
like,
avalanche.
the big one common example that is seen in pop culture, like in PUBG or it's like the shrinking barrier as the match progresses.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Is...
See, I think that's the one thing that's missing in PvP battle royales for D&D.
That's why I did the falling terrain at the edges.
Yep.
Yep.
You handled
the
it
falling
really well.
terrain is a pretty good one to go with. That's it. I like it. Pretty good.
What about an earthquake that actually thrusts the ground? So you got the area you're in's got boulders and stuff, and now you're getting, it's starting to push up on its side and create new cover maybe, or spearing, spears coming out of the ground. There's a lot you can do with hazards. Slippery ice is a good one. Maybe after somebody slips more than once or twice, it opens and they can fall into water and drown.
That's a good one too.
So, do you got anything?
That's definitely stuff you don't really think about too often. It really is kind of like a set it and forget it kind of thing, which is fair. I mean,
I didn't decide to start adding that to my brainstorm and start writing anything about that. Nope, not at all. Anyway,
it's just difficult because the DM always has to handle so much stuff all the time that like terrain is just one of those things where it's just like it's just constantly overlooked, I think.
Yeah, and it's not. I don't think it has anything to do with the DM. It's they do get overworked. But for me, treating it just like another monster would be a great way to kind of handle it.
That's a really good way to go about it.
All right.
Think about other ideas that they're throwing out too. It's like a fog that rolls in that are doubling as thunder clouds.
Ooh, I like that.
Good one.
One that just shocks you, like a lightning cloud that shocks you if it gets too close. Them wind cantrips will become super useful then. I think that'll do it for our Dungeon Master tip, Evolving Hazards. Our player tip of the podcast is, don't be a dick.
Yeah, well.
No, it's all right. It's fine.
Yeah, don't be a dick.
Yeah.
And you can avoid dickitude by role-playing a Goliath. Goliaths tower over even Dragonborn, standing 7 to 8 feet tall. Their skin is gray or brown, mottled with darker patches that they believe hint at some aspect of each Goliath's fate or destiny. I love the idea of a Goliath that has like a map on him, and he swears that his destiny is like is on this treasure map birthmark thing. Secret power here. Right where his nipple's at. Nipple mark the spot. Goliaths are driven by fierce love of competition. Anything that can be conceived as a challenge invites Goliaths to keep score. tracking their progress against both their comrades and themselves. A Goliath fighter might remark on how many times he has drawn first blood in battle within a particular dungeon compared to the party's rogue, and how slow and slinky he is, always taking his time when he should charge in. And he's certainly mentally tracking his own performance against his last adventure. This competitiveness takes the form of good-natured rivalry among Goliaths, and as a race, they have no patience for cheaters or sore losers, but Goliaths can be very hard on themselves too when they fail to measure up to their own past accomplishments. That's so sad. Boris has jumped 30 feet and landed safely. I'm sad I dropped 10 feet and fall. Daring that borders on foolhardiness is also a common trait among Goliaths. They have no fear of heights, climbing sheer cliffs, and leaping great chasms with ease. Goliaths respect and revere the natural world. And Goliaths adventurers come...
cliff diving. 100 feet.
Cliff diving? Goliaths respect and revere the natural world, and Goliath adventurers commonly draw on the primal power sources, invoking the spirits of nature, and their ancestors are far more often than they call on distant gods. Whew, that's a lot. That is a summary from one of the 4 ebooks I got. What do you guys think?
Goliaths, they're not just giant hulking brutes. They're competitive giant hulking brutes.
Brandon, you got anything? I know you've played a Goliath more than once.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it is. Unless you're stupid and you get pickpocketed.
Yeah, well. Can't win them
So
all.
we're told that 100, what would they say it was? 100 copper coins is more valuable than 2 silver because there's more of them.
I don't know, but that sounds like something a Goliath would believe, or a barbarian.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Actually, I was reading through this. The first thing I thought about was in Dragon Age Inquisition when Iron Bull was like asking questions to like the soldier Blackwall. So I have to know. Most amount of limbs you've cut off in one swing. What?
I love it.
Heads count? Heads absolutely count. Then 3.
That's the sort of stuff I think is just awesome. Like, one thing I love about Goliaths is they have this, their competitive nature can feed into more things than just combat. Drinking would probably be a common one, so I bet they get well along with dwarves who love the drinking competition, right? I also think it would be funny to see. You mentioned the money. Maybe one has an idea of growing wealth, and they want to be a Goliath that wants to be the richest. Just seems so out of place. But if a rogue started a battle, you only got 3 coins. I got 6. I got more money than you. Would a Goliath now all of a sudden care about having more coins?
Yeah.
And
I must amass all the wealth.
of course.
Nothing about Lord of the Rings when Legolas took down that giant elephant-like creature, only to Gilly turn around and go, that still counts as 1!
That's really good.
I was gonna say it sounds a lot like if Gimli and Legolas were the same person.
Yeah, I like that. So, do you guys got any further tips about role-playing a Goliath? Now, I do want to say really quick, nobody is bound to this. This is just some of the lore and the normal expectation and the way they act. Every person is unique, like a flower.
Right.
Yeah, like, if you want your Goliath to be wearing armor, I can't remember if my Goliath wore armor or not.
No.
I think he had, like, leather or something, but instead of it being this chest plate or something, I flavored it as just a loincloth, and that was all he wore.
Sometimes you just gotta let them know.
I like
all
one of the Goliath barbarians I played had the pelt of a lion. It was just kind of his leather armor, right? And he told everybody that he slayed it with his bare hands. In actuality, somebody else did, and he pilfered it before he left. Because I took the criminal background. And so he was stealing stuff. So he has all these gizmos on his body. His axe was made of like the bone of a mammoth or some shit. And he said, I conquered all these with my bare hands. And he didn't. He just stole them from people who had. All right. I think that'll do it for our player tip of the podcast. Don't be a dick. Hey, that's pretty good.
It's good.
Role-playing like a Goliath. All right, before we close out, we have another gift to give away. Brandon, would you like to tell us about it?
Yes, it's a giveaway. It's by Jeff Stevens. We all know him. He makes some pretty good content. Yeah. Scourge of the Nightingale, Part 1, a Song of Love. A masked menace terrifies the region. The adventurers stumble into her scheme, the kidnapping of a famous performer known as Devon Artis. Their mission is to deliver a ransom and collect Devon. And the winner is Stidham. Is that Charlotte?
That's what it looks like. I can't help but
Sure.
notice it's got Ham and Charlotte together. Is that like a nod to Charlotte's Web?
Oh my God!
No? Okay. Congratulations. If you didn't win, have no fear. Crit Academy's here. Head on over to critacademy.com/Jeff Stevens and get all kinds of fat loots. Because that's how we roll. Some really good stuff there. I mean, if you haven't gotten Villains and Layers 3 for free, you're missing out. That'll do it for our episode. Episode 200, I can't believe it. We're going into the new year. I want to thank everyone who did join us. Looks like we have a really great idea from Andrew on YouTube. He says, a show idea suggestion. Let's build a character together. I love that. Oh, hey, thanks for joining us, Inter-Party Conflict. Hey, guys, I was only able to make it to the end, but I wanted to say a big congratulations on hitting episode 200. Thank you so much. It's been tough, and it's a lot of work, so thank you guys for joining us. Please join us on our next episode. We'll be joined by special guests from the phenomenal actual play D&D podcast, Unlikely Heroes, to talk D&D improvisation. Now, holy crap, I had the privilege of being on one of their episodes that airs in a while. It's their finale. Please keep an eye out for that. I had so much fun. The guys are so hilarious. If you like a carefree D&D experience where they don't really know what they're doing and just kind of wing it, it's so funny. I was laughing for like 30 minutes before we even started recording because they had me cracking up. So definitely check them out. There's a link in the show notes. If you do enjoy, actually that's somebody, whose part is that? I didn't highlight it.
If you enjoy the show and want to support us, visit us at critacademy.com, follow us on social media, and leave us a review. It helps us a lot. Keeps us going.
Yep.
Gives us traction.
Please consider picking up some of our content. We're always releasing D&D content, or become a patron and get all kinds of fat loots. I mean, I make monster variants every week that are really fleshed out. You get one-page adventures, custom maps, all kinds of just a lot of cool stuff, and you can come hang out with us in Discord. Brandon's been running an awesome play-by-post game, which we need to do an episode about that because I'm reading through it. It's awesome. So that'll do it for today. I am your host, Justin.
I'm your co-host, Austin.
Your host, Ian.
And I'm your guest, Brandon. Thanks for listening.
Oh, you know what? It's still stuck on Brandon's face. I didn't change it back that whole time. Sorry. Hope you weren't picking your nose or anything, because then everyone saw that.
Well, I'm what everyone wants to see anyway.
Keep your blades sharp and spells prepared, heroes.